It says we're live here on YouTube.
Hey!
Hey, well, this is going to be a new, so this is going to show up as a new link on the channel. So I'm going to, let me go back to the channel here
Cool.
and I will post that link for the new broadcast. Oh, it looks like we're here. Look at us. All right. It says we're live here on YouTube. Okay,
Hey!
let me mute that now. Okay, it looks like it's working. Holy smokes. What a time. What a time. Let me get this link here in the chat box for everybody for the old link because
I'm so excited. This is going to be great.
it's awesome. Well, let me close this out. Let's see here. We're good. Jacob, how are
Hi.
you? How you doing,
This
man?
this is so great. Oh
Well,
my God.
everybody's coming to the new link here, it looks like. So it looks like everything's finally working. We are so sorry, everybody. We had
Yeah.
as always tech issues. Let me see if I can fix some of the
In the
light.
chat, does it sound okay, everybody? Can you hear us okay?
Yes, give us a high five. Let us know that everyone hears us okay.
Derek working so hard to get this together. There's a lot of time because on my end, I'm not that savvy. He's very savvy, so he like saved me today.
So it's been a little bit challenged. It hasn't been Jacob though. He was awesome. So let me just explain to you all how God works in all of this. Okay, good. Tracy McCormick says sounds good, sounds divine, wonderful, awesome. So I'll edit the little precursor out. But everybody, thank you for joining us here. This has been probably a long time in the making, Jacob. You and I getting back together and having a discussion, particularly in these times, because we talked about, we've had conversations a few times on the phone and back and
Yeah.
forth. And, listening to your most recent videos about Jacob's trouble,
Oh,
uh, Jacob, you're in trouble.
that's just me.
and, and,
It's just
and so are all of us. So
it's
that's what
okay.
Jacob trouble means.
It's
We're all in
okay.
deep trouble,
It's
but
gonna
it's
be
been,
fine.
yeah, it's been a remarkable thing. But if you could,
How long ago? It was funny today. I didn't have time to check, but we did a show like years ago. I don't know, and it would be. I was like, I wanted to check. I'm gonna check while you're talk at one point to see exactly when we did our show because how cool would it be? And I didn't check if it was like we were, it was an anniversary or something. Like we're doing it like I don't know when it was.
oh, well, you know what? Let me go to my channel here and I'll check. But
Because that would be very cool to find out because God works in such beautiful amazing ways. Today I was listening to just a great pastor who really teaches very well, and I was just sometimes I'm led to whatever to listen, and it was about Elijah, and man, it was just such a great message. And the best part was that it was like this period, this 3.5 year period where Elijah's kind of hanging out, and because God spoke to this guy who was, it was like kind of like nobody really knew the guy. He wasn't like anything spectacular. He was a Tishbite. There's I have an essay about this on my website, and it's interesting what it reveals. I can't for the life of me remember right now, but this guy was like, he was told to go present yourself to Ahab. It's like, you go and you tell, and he's like, oh, who, me, little old me, and it was like years ago, and then it's like you got to do it again, you know, because and I've been in this place where it's interesting because I'm in Long Island in a place that's called Stony Brook. So if you think about that, right? So he's sent by this brook, and it's like, and now he's told at this time now, it's like, okay, you got to go do this thing. And the best part was, if you know the story, the religion is just so corrupt in the land, and they're all worshiping Baal. And I got news flash for everybody. Just check out the movie awards. My son just sent me something where there's like pictures of Baal, golden Baal everywhere, like everywhere. And he's like, hey, we'll see if this is the real God or not. Why don't we figure this out? And Elijah's a little bit bold, and I think that's the day we're in, and I think that people like you and me and others because Elijah felt very alone. I've felt very alone out here.
Oh
And
yeah.
God's like, look, there's like there's like 7,000 of y'all, you know, and it's like, you're not alone. So stop your whining. Just do what I say, you know, stop stressing. It's awesome what's going on right now. I mean, I did a video in January, and the thumbnail says it's like the finale begins 2020, the finale begins, and there's like a picture of aliens, there's a picture of all this stuff going on, and I go in how like, and I start the thing by saying, every sci-fi movie you've seen, it's happening this year
Right now.
you're gonna have AI, you're gonna have the pestilence, it's all coming down. This is the year. And now we got aliens.
Yeah,
you see
it's crazy. You know what's so funny? I'm gonna show this on your screen, and anybody that wants to check this out on my channel, you can look at this. But I'm gonna show you this, Jacob. When you take a look at this, you're gonna laugh. So this is a video that I made almost probably. Actually, this was before you and I met and spoke. So the government's virus for your mind. A dire warning. Okay, so you can see here the date, September 30th, 2018.
Crazy.
It only has 24,000 views, folks. Trust me. What I say in this, obviously isn't mine, because I'm telling you what's coming, and that's clearly not mine, because I'm not a magician. I don't make these things happen. This is clearly where we receive these things and we go, hey, I heard this thing. Now, Jacob, this is the most amazing thing. I don't want to play this whole video, but it's anybody can search for it. The government's virus for your mind, a dire warning. And what I'm talking about, and this is precisely what you and I have really have kind of discussed in this way,
right?
Where we're at right now. It is so hard because we're being pressed, we're being pushed, we're being pressured. Yeah, and this is what happens to squeeze out the oil, right? What happens?
That's what they do, right? Yeah.
You press the grape, you squeeze
it, you scrape all the flesh off of it.
Yeah, and this is what we're feeling. So in order for you to achieve who you are supposed to be right now in these times, this is the pressing. So this is, and you know what happens? It's so funny. We were talking about this. I was talking about this earlier, and I was going to show it, but how does petrified wood happen, right? How do you turn something from wood into stone? Now, follow me here for a minute. How do you turn wood into stone? Scientists will tell you, or people in academia will tell you, oh, well, that's just because they're, a million years old. No, you can't take something and you can't make it more dense than it already is unless you compress it. So massive amounts of pressure, which I would assume massive amounts of water, right? So water has atmospheric pressures. Every 33 feet of water is 1 atmosphere of pressure. So if you go down 33 feet.
33. You want to see something crazy? Can I show you something crazy?
Yeah.
All right. So today, my son, this is nuts. My son, Noah, I'm so proud of him. Such a good boy. So he's been seeing 333 everywhere. Okay. Everywhere. He's 20, and I just love my kids so much. And he had a great job. Both my boys, Anthony and him, they both had great jobs, and they're going to college. And, when this thing hit, I was like, why don't you guys just focus on school, everything, because, and it turns out I needed help with things because I don't know, I'm not great with the computer. I think we figured that out by now, Derek. So we need,
you're not.
So I need help. And in my, Noah, I said, why don't you design me? I'm wearing the shirt that he designed me. Teach me the truth. Now, what's weird about this? And I just love the way it feels. I love the way it looks. And he just designed it for me. And the font that he used, this was crazy. My first novel, back in 2008, it's the same font. Like, it's crazy how that happened. But he's been seeing 333 everywhere. And he sends me this because, he's proud of himself. And he sends me this.
Uh,
from that's, and it was like, now, but you got to understand something. This morning he was saying, and he doesn't know, he'll never watch the show, so I can say this. He's saying, I don't know what God's purpose for me is. I said, well, bud, I said, you could help. I mean, you have such a gifting. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, gifting. I said, no, you're talented. I said, no, the way you design that thing, the way you write, the way you do so much, you help around, you're so amazing, you're doing great in school. And he's like, I was like, God's got a huge plan for you, dude. And he's been seeing 333, 333. And I said, you know what? I said, look at, he's like, that's not proof. I did that in like no time at all. I said, because you got a gift. So, and I said, why don't you take a look? So why don't you go and take a look and see how it's doing now and then? So imagine we have this conversation. He's talking about 333, and I'm saying God's going to show you, right? And then he checks today as I'm on the phone, and then it's 333. And then you bring up 33. And what's that number about? Tell me what 33 is about. Somebody, please.
Well, 33. Well, look, you see it right here on, in this little butterfly.
Oh, so cool.
That's the logo of Global Witness. So that's based on 33 and not your secret society's variant 33. 33 are ley lines on the planet. 33 represents, from an energy standpoint, multitudes of things. This is cryptography. 33 means thousands of things, and they're all true. One of the things that are true is just here in this matrix is what we were talking about is, well, Christ, 33 years old.
Right.
So 33 vertebrae in your spine.
Right.
33-degree ley lines where all the energy on the planet. These are just some variations. 33 feet underwater is 1 atmosphere of pressure. Now, let me explain to you what 1 atmosphere of pressure means.
Tell me.
1 atmosphere of pressure. So to give you an idea, if you're a scuba diver and you have your scuba tank and it is filled with compressed air, okay? And you go down 33 feet deep, that compressed air will be compressed in half. So now you actually have half of the air that you had at the surface in your tank. When you breathe a breath of air, you have breathed a compressed air, which is actually twice the size of your lungs. However, since you're at 33 feet, it doesn't blow your lungs apart because it's also compressed. If you hold your breath and you came up that 33 feet, your lungs would blow up. So that's why you don't come up.
It's funny. I just watched that movie on because it was, it was on Netflix or whatever. No, it was on HBO with Kristen Stewart, and they were so far down below, and I just watched a bunch of people with the pressure blowing up, and the thing blowing up and imploding, and so I don't want to go down that 33 feet.
Okay, but
I want to be alive though. I want to be resurrected.
Well, this is where we are. This is how we get resurrected, because the reality is the pressure that we're being condensed. The quality of you is being compressed. Quality. So you're getting how's a diamond made?
Pressure.
Coal under pressure creates that diamond. Petrified wood. Okay, a piece of wood that was this big that's petrified is going to be a fraction of the size because it was put under tremendous amounts of atmospheric pressure, an atmosphere of pressure at 33 feet. So that is precisely what we're going through today. Us people, we are being pressured. We are being squeezed like olives to get the last little piece of oil out of us, because this world and all we know is going away, just like Christ said. So here we're at. We're feeling this pressure. We all feel it. And you and I know, and we all know, those that know Christ, we sit back and we watch this. Now, when I watched your video about Jacob's trouble, I could actually feel your trouble, right?
I was stressed. Yeah, I feel better today.
I could feel, but you can feel the troubling. And believe me, folks, anybody that thinks that Jacob or myself or any of us out here doing this and talking to you, that somehow we walk on water when we're not on air, and that we don't go through trials, we don't go through tribulation, we are going through that pressure, you're not being realistic. This is hard for all of us. And everyone. We are so blessed to be a part of this time, though. I've always said, if you're here, how unbelievably blessed are you to be here to see it? I mean, how many people, just like Christ said, he goes, many righteous people have longed to see these days.
Yeah.
They've talked about it for hundreds and thousands of years, and they
And
did
here it
not
is.
these days. And here we are. So the same goes for all of you out there watching. Many righteous have longed for these days, and to hear the things that they're hearing, and particularly to see them, because you've already heard them before. Just like I was showing that video, you've heard that before. Jacob's told you what he's seen. You've seen that. You've watched it take place. And here we are, we're watching this all play out. We've got cosmological things happening. We've got right now the sun.
Okay, I'm getting the chills. I'm getting the chills.
The sun just had a massive CME, right? We're about to be blasted tomorrow.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna get reacquainted with the sun fairly soon.
Okay. I gotta stop you.
Okay.
I gotta stop you because this is gonna blow your mind. And I'm so blown away. Remember, I said it would be great if we did something on an anniversary about the dark matter. I said, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
So I reached out to you November 15th. Let me see if I want to make sure I don't got your personal info. Can you see that okay, everybody? November 15th, I said, hey man, so nice to see you in a comment. Anytime you want to chat, I'd love to. Lonely place out here. How's that?
Yeah, no kidding.
And then you wrote, I feel you, brother. Can you talk tomorrow on a call? Then we'll do a show and we'll discuss everything.
Everything.
Okay, so check this out. Guess when we did our show? Exactly 2 years ago from that day. 2 years ago on that day, we did our show. I just looked it up. The Rapture 2.0 Dark Matter Hurricane with Jacob Israel.
That was it. It was the Rapture, the dark. Yes, I remember. Now,
and on the third day, what happened? So 2 days have passed. So what's the day we're going into?
We're the third day.
33.
Third day. 33rd
Pressure's
day.
It's going to explode you.
So there are no coincidences. There is no such thing as an accident.
And that wasn't rehearsed or anything. It was something that today, twice, it came to me. Look this up, you know, and I didn't have time. And it's confirmation of this moment, you know, and the dream that I had where we were supposed to meet for lunch, but for whatever reason, you couldn't make it. And then here on the show, I was saying, everything's going to be fine, right? In the comment section, you can hear everything okay, right?
Yeah, they hear everything. You know, what's so crazy is that I was the one, I'm like, you know, I'm freaking out going, I can't believe we're having these tech issues. And then you're like, no, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. And
crazy.
It's just amazing.
Thank God for dreams.
Oh, no kidding. So, hey, tell me, first of all, you might want to tell people about that dream.
Which one?
You had a dream that you you and I couldn't get together. Well, you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to lunch, right?
In the city.
Yeah. We were supposed to meet.
It was a fancy schmancy place, and I was sitting there alone. And for whatever reason, I found out it's like, he couldn't make it. Everybody knows your name's Derek, right?
Yeah.
Derek couldn't make it.
And
then I got stressed, and I told you in the background. See, people think that there are people that are into baloney and they pretend like, the dreams and the this and that, but there are other people that really have faith and know that God speaks to us this way. A third of the Bible has to do with dreams. I mean, from Joseph and Mary, Joseph having the dream about how one day his brothers would serve, me having the dream that one day I'd be here. Right? I mean, here I'm 50. How long did it take? Having these dreams and ideas of where you're going. The scriptures are filled with it because God speaks once, yea, twice, in a dream, in a vision in the night. It's in the book of Job. Yeah, tough things are tough, but then you're doubly blessed. So I have this dream and I'm stressed out and I start getting a sore throat. And then I'm worried. My wife my wife's a teacher. Dan's like an amazing teacher, like award-winning teacher, has been doing it forever. And this is just breaks her heart because she works with like the poorest of the poor kids. And she had tonight, so I'm telling her about my dream. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to use your computer. It'll be fine, right? Because usually my computer doesn't work. And she's like, I have parent teacher conferences. This is her room. So I put something up in the background so that this is where she
Is that
teaches.
Jacob's ladder behind you?
Yeah, that is. Isn't
Jacob's
that cool?
escalator.
Yeah, that's an escalator because I'm too old to walk now. I've already climbed now.
You're younger than I am.
I just zoom up. Well, yeah, you're zooming too. You're zooming too now. So Danielle, so she teaches from here. Look, mistakes are proof that you're trying. She's so awesome. It's a blessing to have somebody who loves you so much and is so good to you and so to really put you in your place too. So I was worried about parent teacher conference. I reached out to you, and then yesterday, I'll be honest, I got nervous. I thought, because my mom, she just lost her sense of smell and taste, and she's very, very sick and has been for a while, and she's stressed out. And then my throat started to hurt, and I was like, oh no, I got nervous. And so I texted you and I said, I hope my dream's not coming true, but in the dream, it wasn't me that didn't show up. I was there. So then I just knew when we were going through our issue, usually I would have been stressed, but you know what? People are so wonderfully kind today, and they understand, and it's a lesson for everybody. You know what? You can't get everything the way you like. You can't get it when you want. Elijah, it took him a long time to get to the place where he could, really speak to Ahab and really be be like, okay, y'all with your Baphomets and you this, see who the real God is. I'm going to start saying things. Let's see what happens now. Who are you going to believe? You going to believe them? I mean, how many people was it? 860 priests and prophetesses of Baal, and it was just Elijah and God. That's it. I know God's with me. That ladder video that I did about the ladder and the monoliths, such a symbol, because there's a symbol, like, I believe it's a physical symbol for like the bad guy, right? Like that because I see things a little bit different. Well, not differently. I see them the way you see them. I believe that there'll probably be like a bad guy in the story too, for the people that don't catch on spiritually. But I know that the real bad guy's already up there in the throne of God, declaring himself to be God, right? Mm-hmm. But I know that when Christ comes, with the brightness of his glory, the truth is going to get rid of the lie. But see, the problem is that happens how? You were just saying, it's not going to be fun. It hasn't been fun for me. You've lost everything. Oh gosh,
Many times.
So I mean, it's like, it's not easy, but the process, you got to trust the process. And you get to a point where I'm doing these shows, and I'm so stressed out. And then when I'm editing it, and it was funny because you and I people don't know this, I had toilet problems. That's the only reason I did that whole video. And that video turned out to be, I think, probably one of the most rewarding videos I've ever created. And I've done a lot. I've been on there for, since 2000 and it's been 12 years on YouTube. Since 2000, I've been doing all my other stuff. The most rewarding, and it was because I had all these issues with the toilet. And guess who else had some sewer issues that I'm aware of at the same time? What is that about? Tell everybody.
Yeah, we were having sewage issues at the same time. So we had a backup, a septic backup here, and it knocked out some electricity because it leaked, and it's been a real nightmare. And I called Jacob, or I texted him. I'm like, oh, I'm having these problems, and he's like, what? I'm having the same things. So we're kind of kindred in what's happening here.
So strange,
But here, Jacob, going back to the pressure, and this is why I think it's important, because the virus for your mind, and I want to get your take on this, because
okay.
I made this video and I showed that that nanotized particles, that the head of the military and the CIA said that they put these nanotized particles out there, and the message that I was giving there was that there was a virus for your mind coming, and they're going to release it. When I say there, it's just the powers that be, whoever that might be. And we know that presidents and the kings of this world don't run the show. There is me here, and he's running the show. Whether you like that concept or not, it's true. So with that is that we have the pressure when we're talking, going back to the pressure, keep this in mind, that this virus that is taking place is changing people. Okay, so
forget about
this is Corona, right? So you've got that
virus
name,
of the
which
crown.
is crown.
Yeah, crown.
The virus of the crown. And I was basically saying that this will be released and launched on people. This is 2 years ago.
It's
that there will be
crazy.
a virus that will be launched, and it will be a virus of your mind. And this is precisely why Proverbs says this. Proverbs says 7, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law
Live.
as the apple of thine eye. Bind upon them thy fingers. So tie them up, tie all of these things on your fingers, because it's not going to be easy to remember these foundational aspects of what we speak about on a day-to-day basis.
And also
Bind,
tweet it out with your
yeah,
fingers. Tweet it out.
bind them upon thy fingers. Write them upon the tablet of what? Of your heart. And so the very message of that was, our heart actually contains a massive amount of the same thing that we
Yeah.
call brain matter. Okay, brain
Mhm.
matter. Our heart actually has a mind of its own.
It's
It's
crazy.
different than the head. It's different than the mind, than the physical brain. And that's why when you get, the
Doesn't it
spirit.
also have the same like electromagnetism as the, doesn't
Well,
it
exactly.
pulse?
That's why you get butterflies, right? When there's love, there are no nerves that create those things.
Right.
Okay. So that is that energy. That is that divine energy within you. So it says, write these things on the tablets of your heart,
Mm.
because your mind won't be intact. Whether you think you're smart, whether we all think, oh, we're good, we've got this, don't worry about it. No, that's
Yeah.
not true, because it says it will happen, that those that have written these things on their heart, their mind will be destroyed, but
Mm.
their heart won't be. Now, if you don't have it written on your heart, well, then the heart and the mind are destroyed. And that's where we're headed. We're going to be experiencing, obviously, you got people, and we got to be careful about what we say, particularly on live shows.
Yeah.
YouTube's algorithms are
Well, you don't
far
got to
more
worry about me. You
monitoring.
don't got to worry about me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just talking about, saying the
I'm
words
not going
and
to say any
PA
bad
double X
words.
and all of that stuff. And
I'll say poopy
yeah, we
sometimes,
we
maybe
gotta we
sometimes.
poopy. No, I'm not talking about curse
I'm
words.
not going to say any other stuff either. So
Yeah,
let's. I think
unfortunately,
the spiritual. I think talking in spiritual terms. I think that's the most important thing. It's like, who cares? We get it. We get it. Let's. It's like we get that there's. There's a. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not stressed out about it anymore. I mean, I really was. I really, really was. And I'm kind of excited now, because I mean, the whole message of that one video was, Jacob's saved out of it. We're all going to be saved out of it. The whole point of this is so that we come to God. God's in charge. You don't think when Jesus was being put to death, right?
mm-hmm.
To know that it's like he's like, it's just part of the plan. Just
Well,
part of
it's
the plan.
definitely part of the plan. It's been told so many
You
times.
know,
I find it amazing that people
it's a
don't
little
actually
easier.
believe that this is happening.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is happening. It's like, what are you talking about? How
Yeah.
can you not believe this we've been talking about this coming
Yeah.
for a few hundred years.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've been saying it for a
Well, the
while.
church, but the
Seems
church
like
is
a while.
but the
Yeah,
church
they've been saying all that stuff, yeah, for a long time.
but the
Sure.
irony is that how many churches do you see the church by and large actually reacting the way that they should?
Well, actually, no, because the church is Baal. And that's what I was saying. It's like it's time for the truth to be known. It's like, look, I was the head writer for Christian. You were like the executive producer for like big time movies. My favorite movie of all time. It's like, we've been there. God placed us there, and then He ripped it away, and He said, "What are you gonna do now?
What are you
You
going
think
to do
that
now?
you
Have fun
think
with it.
you think that you got yourself there? You didn't get yourself. I placed you there. That was one thing that I always knew was fine, though. I
Oh,
always knew God was in charge, and then here we are now, and I've been by a stony brook. It's like the water's dried up now. All right. And the ravens have fed us long enough. We don't need to be fed by the ravens anymore. Right. We don't need to be fed by the system and all that nonsense. God's going to provide. Now it's time. It's time for God to be known. Nobody knows God. How many people are listening right now really believe in God? They say they do. But
yeah, that's the problem, right? That's
well,
why
but
Christ.
it's
That's why
but
Christ could say, "I never knew you."
so in the grand scheme of things, I have a lot of faith that everything is going to work out. I mean, I don't think it's going to be easy, but I'll tell you one thing. This is one thing that's making me feel a little better. Especially doing this video, it's a big relief for me. Was Jacob really worried about being killed,
Mm-hmm.
and because he had a lot to lose. He worried about being killed. He worried that because he always knew God had a plan for him, but he really worried that because he gamed the system and
Mhm.
because he knew that, you know what I mean? He worried. And then in the grand scheme of things, he worried for nothing. I mean, he was punished. He was corrected, like I've been corrected and punished in my novel. This is a true story. And after December 14th, I'm gonna read some of it. It was published in 2008, but it was written so that when I turned 50, it could be a proof of sorts of what was. That sounds nuts, but it's true. It's true. If I read you the prologue right now, you would be like, that's bizarre. It's very bizarre. So, but my point is that in the book, this point where Thomas he's being put to death, he's being persecuted, put to death. In fact, in the edition that I'm going to republish soon, it 2022 is when he's going through the court system. And to write something like that years ago and then to start to worry about it and then start to see, it's like, but in the grand scheme of things, it was all Thomas's bad dream. It was just a nightmare that the kid had when he was 12. His whole life he had this nightmare that he was going to be put to death for his faith. And I'd been quietly like holding on to that for years. I've never really told anybody because I thought, well, if it's, because they're not going to want to accept the truth of God because who wants to love? Look at how corrupt the world is, how terrible the world is. And look at the people that think that they're doing good and how hateful they are towards the people that, are, part of this organization or this organization. And they're doing terrible things, but it's like people take pride in the fact that, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat. And it's on both sides. It doesn't matter if you realize that they're both wrong and you tell them they're wrong. They're going to want you to shut up. So I've been quietly like holding this, but then when I did that video, I realized, man, I'm a lot like that Jacob guy. I'm a lot like that Jacob Israel from the past, Which, by the way, Israel's not my last name. So anybody, God gave Jacob his last name too, by the way. Nobody needs to tell me. It's my stepfather's name. He's a great guy. Poor, I mean, keep them. They're all very sick right now, so keep them in your prayers. But long story short is he he worried for nothing. He tried scheming and tried figuring stuff out for nothing. And then he gave up. He's like, I can't fight anymore. I can't wrestle anymore. And I think that that's what's going on. I think I'm going to be okay in my faith, regardless of what happens next. But I'm starting to think, maybe I'm more like that Jacob who lives a long life and retires in Goshen. But there is still a famine in the land. It's pretty horrible. Just so you know, like if this story is playing itself out again, you're one of the characters who we're all the characters, right? We're all playing out the part. There's a terrible famine in the land. You know what happens, but Joseph brings it all back. And that's what's coming. You get Christ. It's the kingdom's coming again. It's about time already. I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm exhausted. Like that's where it's like, get me out of this world. I don't need it anymore. But that's exactly where we need to be, Jacob, is that our heart for this world itself has to die. That was Christ's message entirely. He's like, do you see this world? Do you really want to be a part of something that does this? Is
Yeah,
this
it's
really
yucky.
who you are, where you come from? This is not right. You see, so you were mentioning earlier, just how there's no love, right? For
Seems
the
like
love
it.
of many the love of many will grow cold,
Yeah, and it
right?
has.
Why? Because of lawlessness.
Hey,
Because of
how about what about the fact that everybody falls away to a great deception? What if everybody who thinks they're Christian is wrong?
and look, 3 years ago, my very first video was like, if you think that you're a
That's
Christian,
why we started talking because
yeah,
that's what my
if you
videos
think
were
you're a
about years
Christian,
ago too. I know. I
yeah,
know.
I would just simply say to people, I would go, wait a minute, what makes you think it says narrow is the gate and few are those that
Yeah.
find it?
Yeah.
And then you kind of look up and you go, oh, well, there's almost 4 billion self-professed Christians in the world.
Mm,
How do they think that 4 billion out of 7 billion is narrow and
yeah.
few?
Yeah.
Kind of got a problem. And ultimately, what we've realized is that And this is why we can't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Mhm.
This is why we have to be able to listen to folks. You have to be able to listen to somebody that has an opinion that is different than yours. You have to be able to be willing to listen and not have cognitive dissonance and fight
Shut
what
them
they
down.
say
Yeah.
and
Shut them
shut them
down.
down.
Pray about it. Pray about it.
Pray about it.
Ask for the
Listen
truth
to what
about it.
they're saying. Yeah, and you will be revealed the truth according to what you can handle. That's
Mm.
the great part about the Father. He doesn't give you anything more than you can handle.
Right. That's so
Ever,
true. Right. Have you
ever.
been
He
able
never
to
does.
have you been able to handle everything so far?
Everything, all the time.
Have you in the audience been able to handle everything? You're here, right? We've been able, I mean, not that we've done it great. I'm not proud of a lot of things that have happened in my life, but man, am I happy about where I am right now. And I got to tell you, it's like, it's easy when a lot of people, I'm sure like you got a lot of people laughing at you, saying you're crazy, you're this, that, and the other thing. When you went on, I told people, oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming, to the, like to the date too, many times.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, the Lord told me, but kind of like, look, this is what I'm looking at right now. My backyard is infested with moths.
Yeah. So
This is not normal.
Did you have a big moth bloom as well?
I did years ago, yeah, and I
Well,
did
we had
videos
one
about.
here this year, and there
Oh,
were just millions of moths
yeah,
out
yeah.
of nowhere. And these are big, these are big blooms, but the fact is that things are taking place electrically.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just like we're talking about, if you're paying attention to the sun, anybody, if you haven't gone, you can check out Suspicious Observer. He's got some good explanations as to the CME and what's coming and what the sun's about to do. Trust me, the sun is coming.
Mm,
That one too.
yeah.
That one in the sky.
Hey,
That
and
sun.
can I say something too? Because I think a lot of people sometimes because religion had a great did a great job of getting everybody to believe in an idol, Baal.
Yeah.
So that word "come," Christ comes, erchomai in Greek, it means to be revealed, and the hope of glory is Christ in you, and Christ is going to come, and everyone's going to know it.
The hope and glory of Christ in you. Now it's incredible how many Christians have attacked me for saying Christ is inside of you.
Yeah, that's the hope of glory. Now, here's interesting. A lot of people don't know this either, and you do, but we're going to teach, right? I mean, whatever. God's blessed us and encouraged us. The glory of God is to conceal something. The hope of glory would be to understand what is concealed. That is the fact that Christ is in you and literally died for the idea of you.
Yes.
Like literally, could you imagine that he took upon himself the sins of the world, and then boom, here's Jacob. I'm in charge. I'm the guy. And then Jacob along the way realizes, oh my God, I can't do nothing. And he says, it's no longer I that live, but you that live, Christ. That's what Paul said. Mm-hmm. The life I live, it's no longer I, Paul, but it is you. And that day he says, what's your name? And Jacob's like, Jacob? And he's like, no, you meathead. Christ in you. It's Israel. Yeah. Wake up.
And this is my whole point. When people read the scriptures, I'm like, Israel means the one that wrestles with God. You need to have that name too. He will give you a name written that no one knows but yourself. Why? Because when that happens and you realize that actually took place, you don't tell anybody that, because then you're taking that name for yourself, and that's taking his name in vain. Taking that name, understanding that him literally coming alive in you is a resurrection.
Right.
It's a resurrection.
Hey, where was Jesus killed? Where was he put to death? What's the name of that place?
Golgotha.
What's the place of the what?
Place of the skull.
Where's our skull? Where was Christ put to death?
Yeah.
Where was the way to truly live your life put to death?
Right here.
Where's the Antichrist now?
Right in the noggin.
Where's the temple?
Oh, of course it's going to be here.
We wrestle not against literal people, but against principalities and powers, rules of darkness in high places.
The ones that run this crappy show out here.
They suck. They suck.
We
got to forgive them now. They don't know what
they're doing. Of course, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do.
Because they
don't know.
Okay.
Why is it that they do not know what they do? It's because they don't know you,
Hmm.
right? They don't know you. So they don't know what they do. They'll persecute you and they'll persecute me, but because they don't know us. Why do they not know us? Because they don't know Christ.
Yeah,
If they don't
it's
know
true.
Christ, and that's why
If they
Christ
knew
himself,
Christ, they wouldn't
and that's why
persecute
he can say,
anybody.
if you knew the Father, you would know me.
Yeah.
If you truly knew the Father, you would know who I am, and
Mm.
you would know who Jacob is, and you would know who Malia is, and you would know who As
Mhm.
Above, So Beloved is, and you would know who Thomas Lynch is, and An Alien Answer, and The Bearded Star, and Lou Machado, and the Gemma. You would know who these people are if you knew who the Father was, because you would see the fruits of the Father within them. And this is where we're
It's true. You got to
really,
look at fruit. Fruit is a
oh
big
well,
deal. Fruit
it,
is a
it,
big deal. Fruit
it's
is a big
everything.
deal. And it's like you got to be. Fruit is a big deal. It's and if your fruit is and if you look at what the fruits of the spirit are, like people don't even sometimes they don't even check to see what it is, what the fruits of the spirit are. They're like nice things. They're very nice things. You're like a very nice person if you have the fruit of the spirit. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't, and they use Jesus. They kill in his name. All the time, all the time. And that's why you got to judge a tree by its fruit. You can't really listen to people that are, you can't listen to people that are, and man, so many of them. Jeez Louise. I had to make peace with Laban, like Jacob had to make peace with Laban. I worked in Christian TV. I had to make peace with him. I had to say, look, we're going to build a pillar. We're going to forgive each other, right? We're going to let it go. I'm not going to come to your territory. You don't come to my territory. We're going to be fine. I literally did that with the owners of the Christian network that I worked for. I said, I'm so grateful that you guys were around. So grateful that the Lord put me there. It's funny, true story. My 1 year anniversary working there, because I went from wrestling, then I went to Christian TV, and I knew what I knew, and I knew God put me there, and I thought it was a promised land, and then God gave me a revelation of what Satan is, and I was like, oh my God, that's so not what they believe. It was day one. I said, how can you tell me that's true? Every sheep needs a sheepdog. Really? Really? And they did this movie, this beautiful movie. They did this Christmas movie, and it was all like they honored me in such a way, like God sent the sky angel and sent Jacob to work at Christian TV. And it was a big thing with wrestling and Vince McMahon talking to me and how I was going to bring Bible wrestlers to real life. They did this whole thing, and I was watching this as they all honor me, and I was thinking, how long is it going to be before they want me dead? That was exactly what I was thinking. Like, because, Saul, they sang his praises, right? They sang David's praises. And then it got some point where Saul's like, I'm a little jealous of you. I don't want you around David anymore. So, they love David at first. David's great. Now it's like, he doesn't believe the way we do. He doesn't toe the line. This guy's a heretic. So we made our peace. I'm grateful for them. I love them all, because I think that everybody has to go to John the Baptist before they go to Christ.
Well, this is why, look, I mean, you can look at many of the secret societies. You can look at the Knights of St. John. I've had conversations with some people from the Knights of St. John that I said a few things, and some hierarchy came and said to me, who told you that? Because that's a secret at
Ooh,
higher levels.
secrets aren't good.
Yeah, no, but it was a secret. But here's the whole thing. They worship John the Baptist as Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Well, because John was Jesus. Jesus was the variant of John after, which is why Jesus could say, when people think that Jesus was friends with John,
Mm.
they fail to hear something. So there was something going on there. Jesus said, from the days of John the Baptist until now,
Mm-hmm.
the kingdom was taken by force.
Yeah.
Until now. So he's saying this as himself. John has been taking the kingdom by force until now.
Yeah, and he's
So
the
he wasn't
last.
happy.
He's also the last of the least.
Yeah.
The last of the least in heaven. If you're the least in heaven, how can you be behind that?
Yeah. See, so all of these little things. So now he says, and then John says, well, he must increase and I must decrease.
Must decrease. Heck yeah.
So John must go away.
Yeah.
And Christ must rise.
Yes.
Right. So this is why they say they're the same person. This is why
Right.
they have his head. And this is why they carry his head around and worship John the Baptist, because they're
Yeah.
like,
Two
he
men.
was Jesus. He
Yeah.
was the resurrected version of himself. He killed his old church
I
when
get what you're saying.
he came to, right?
I see this, the spiritual side of it.
I
Sure.
absolutely see that. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's also the tree. So I also gave another video, many of you may remember, where I said that the tree that he cursed was also John.
Interesting. You know, I got to tell you something. I have a little tweak on it, but it's still so far, still so good. Keep going.
Yeah, no, but see, he cursed it because he said,
right,
you won't produce.
It'll never
fruit.
be right, John. You'll never produce fruit again because you're too darn religious, Johnny.
Yes, you've lost the Father, and I'm bringing the Father back. Right,
Yeah.
So you won't produce fruit again. Yeah. I've cursed you. So this is the amazing part about that, is that this is what all of us need to do. All of us need to meet John first and realize that we were too religious, that we had
to be baptized. That's what Christ said. And he goes, suffer it to be so, because it's you when you go under
it to be so.
Yeah, it's you got to suffer. You got to suffer that baptism.
That's going to hurt. You know why?
It's gonna hurt.
Everybody that thinks differently about that is going to hate you, just like Jesus promised. He said, they will hate you. They will despise you. They will call you all names on my account, because he showed you that. You found it. All of a sudden you're there, and he's like, I'm sorry. They all hate you now. You've experienced it, Jacob. I've experienced it. Families go, and sometimes they come back. Sometimes they don't. But you have to be fine being alone. Let's not forget that Christ had 4,000, 5,000. Then he had 12, and then there were 4 at the foot of the cross, right? Where were the rest of them? You know where the rest of them were? They were screaming, crucify him.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. It's always the people, because they like getting their bellies filled, and that's something I say on my channel a lot. Is you come to Jacob's well when you're thirsty, but if you don't do what I'm saying, you don't go to the Father, go to God. You can get your little drink, you can get your little insight into this or that, and get your little, conspiracy this or that. You can get that along with it too, and a little fun, little music, a little goofy gaffs. You can get that from me, but you're gonna thirst again.
Do you remember Keith Green?
I don't know who that is.
The singer Keith Green.
No.
The Christian singer Keith Green. He has a song. He had an album called No Compromise. He died in a plane crash. He was amazing, but he had an album called No Compromise, and he had a song that he said, to obey is better than sacrifice. I don't need your money. I want your life. If you can't come to me every day, then don't bother coming at all. Very no compromise. And all of these different types of things that he was talking about, that sacrifice, that everything that we talked about, like you said, suffer, that obey is better than sacrifice. You're not sacrificing, you're just obeying. And in your obedience, and I got to tell you this, Jacob, I really respect and honor your obedience.
Oh, thank you, man. I do too. Yeah,
no, I watch you. I watch your obedience, and I watch you obey. And it's not about sacrifice. It's just obeying.
I'm trying.
It's not obeying. It's not about obeying somebody that tells you need to have a jab in your arm. And it's not obeying any of this stuff. This is obeying something that is contrary to rational thinking of this world. Rational thinking of this world says, go get that thing in your arm, listen to what they say, do exactly what they say, and you'll be fine.
My son brought this up to me today. We were talking about, and I told him, I'm not worried about it anymore. He goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, because you know what? I think God's got something in the works. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I'm not going to fall for the honeypot of anything else, because I know some says, I think there's going to be a big hiccup, and I'm more concerned about people going and really just for the first time saying, you know what, maybe there is more, and like my son. Oh, what do you mean? The world's just like down in the dumps, and I get it. He's just this handsome 20-year-old, amazing, talented. I mean, all my children, and everything's shut down here in New York. There's nowhere to go, and they don't want to. They worry about my health because I have a couple of autoimmune diseases, and so they're and they're sacrificing, and it's a bummer, and And then so he's been seeing 333. He can't get away from it for the last 2 weeks. He brought it up to me. I said, God's going to tell you, God's going to show you what it means. I said, to me, it means resurrection. I said, that's what it means. It means, and he was saying, because I'm going to be 50, and I was talking to him. I said, with age, I said, you have no idea. You're so much more advanced than I was at your age. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, so much more evolved and wonderful than I ever was. God's going to make a quick work of things over this next couple of years. And I really want to encourage people, because I was nervous and it was hard for me to really, with faith, encourage people in spite of what's coming. And it's not going to be a very long period of time before people really catch on. And they're like, what? It's going to be, rather short. I mean, it's, whatever, it's coming, and people are going to be okay. We're going to be okay because ultimately God is in charge of everything. And as long as you make the Lord your refuge, even though you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death, you're not going to fear any evil. I had a dream, and I did a video about this, about the witches will rise about a year ago. I had this terrible dream. And front yard, all these vans pull up and all these witches get out. And then I go in the backyard. I'm not talking like the spooky witch, but in the dream they were symbolic. It's because a witch doesn't have to be. It could be somebody who is, like a pastor. It could be, just as a spirit of rebellion of the truth of God. And then the backyard, I looked, and I was above. I was on my second floor, and I was looking down. And they were coming out of the woods, and all these black vines were, like just spreading out, and they were spreading out. And I knew that they were there for me, and they had a problem with me. And then I look and I see this machete, and I'm like, as the vines are coming out of my house, I'm like, I don't think so. And I hit it like that, and the vine died. And that was it. It was like, you can't mess with me. No matter, you can't mess with me. I'm done wrestling. I'm not Jacob anymore. That kind of a deal. It's like, I'm not the scaredy cat anymore. I'm not going to be so worried about it. I'm not going to be hung up in all of this stuff. I'm going to talk about the kingdom of God. I'm going to talk about the fact that John had to get his head chopped off so Christ's ministry could evolve and take off. Because John, a lot of people don't know, 6 months, the number of man, 6 months. They were related. 6 months. And ironic, people say, who are you? John the Baptist, back from the dead. Why would they say that, right? Unless you have these two men, which is, significant. I believe there was a literal John. I believe there was a literal Jesus. But I also believe that is a story that is meant to be understood spiritually. And that Christ is baptized by John, even though John knew, like I knew I couldn't baptize Christ, and yet suffer it to be so. He takes upon himself the sins of the world. He took upon himself my sin, my ignorance, my foolishness. And now it's time for me to die and to give up the fight, and so the two can be one. No longer, that's what the rapture, the video that we did. I mean, come on, 2 years exactly. We talked for the first time. Like, how is it that I reach out to you? How is it you leave a comment? I haven't talked to you in 2 years.
Yeah.
You leave a comment on the anniversary of us doing a show together, not thinking about it. And I respond on that day, not thinking about it. And then here we're doing a show. And then twice today, I'm reminded, maybe you should look it up. Wouldn't it be great if it was just like I'm telling Noah, 333. And I said, God's inspiring you. God's here. You are being used to help the kingdom of God. You were being helped. You're gonna help Dad, and you're gonna take over where Dad left off. This is great. And he's from designing a sweater, a sweatshirt, and then boom, 333. Come on, and please, will you please pray for God? Ask for the truth. Just ask for the truth. You don't need to go to church. You don't need to read a billion Bibles. You don't need to do any of that stuff. God is. He's going to write the law on what? You said it, your heart, because that's where your brain is. That's what Derek was saying. That's the real brain.
That's the real brain. This one, well, look, if this one, how do you get to know God? If the carnal mind is what to God. Enmity.
Yeah.
This is the enemy of God.
Mm.
So this is the only friend he's got here.
Right.
If this is the enemy to him.
Mm.
So that's why die to this, die to that, decapitate, lose your head, John.
Right.
Lose your
Stop
head.
thinking. Let me think for you.
Stop with the head. Get rid of that head. Whatever you think you've got, whatever you think you know, whatever you feel you are that you've created in this world. And
yeah.
I've done this and I've done that. This is how I act and this is how I live and that's just who I am. No.
I feel like we should do a musical.
It isn't. It isn't. That's not how this functions, right? So Christ is so different that once you do die to this, the incredible piece of it is, and you know, you always want to fight. You fight to maintain that. I find myself trying to fight to maintain that spirit. And that's why and that's why you can read, you know, it'll say when John was in the spirit, said this or saw this. What does that tell you about John or Jesus, or even Jesus when it speaks of the same thing? When they're not in the spirit. In other words, they're doing some battle over here.
Right.
They're just not there. You know, Jacob can't come on YouTube and just every single day, 24/7, be like, yes,
gotta go up the ladder.
You gotta go up that ladder
and then come back down.
And, every time.
Sometimes I stay down. Sometimes I don't get up. I got nothing to say.
If I've got nothing to say that if I can't contribute something, I surely don't want to detract from you. I only want to add something. If I can't add anything, I'm not adding it. I'm not putting it in the pot to be added. If I've got nothing to add, I'm not going to do that. And that's why I don't, you know, if I've had a really bad day, I'm not going to call you, Jacob, and try to make you have a bad day too.
Oh no,
I just really love company.
But if you have a bad day and you just want to vent, just call me. It's fine. It's fine. We'll talk to you because we'll cheer each other.
Hey,
hang on a second. Didn't you say something happened like right after we got off the phone that day? Didn't you say something? Or something showed up, or did you take a video of something?
Oh, well, I mean, no.
The bird?
So many things. Yeah, well, the bird. Yeah,
okay,
so anybody here, you know what? Here, I'll play it for you. Really,
was that literally like when we got off the phone with each other?
Literally right after we got.
I thought I said I'm gonna call BS on that one, Derek, because I said there's no way, because that's crazy.
So I'm gonna play this.
2 years ago from our show, we talk on the phone, right?
Yes.
And we get off the phone, and what was it? It was a falcon or an eagle or something?
It looks like a falcon, but it's actually a female hawk. And so I'm going to play this right here so you guys can, here, let me get to this. Where is this? Hold on. Get rid of that. Oy vey.
It's very interesting. Very interesting to me.
Hold on. This happened after you called me. And I mean, literally not right after I hung up the phone with you. We walked into our bunkhouse here that we're building out, and there we had it. My goodness, why?
And how did you get your hand around it? Like you just went over, you just say, I'm just going to grab the hawk.
No. What happens is, she was flying around inside the bunkhouse.
Okay. I got you.
And so she flew around and she's trying to make it outside the window. And that doesn't work too well. You know, they don't handle windows very bad. Let me we got this.
So cool. Okay. Hey, while you're pulling that up, I'll say, you got it.
Can you hear that? Can you see that when the messenger's called?
I see it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's play this. This was the bird. That's your bird.
Crazy.
So we'll keep this bird. This is on the last video, at the end of the last video, if you want to see the rest of it. It's just very, very short, but
Crazy.
the amazing, yeah. So this bird, and things like this become just really amazing to me. So that took place, and I had no idea that he was even videoing me let the bird go. So we have,
Really?
yeah. So Jamie was here, and he was recording it in slow motion, right? So
What?
and yeah, and recording it. Now the amazing part is that when I walk back, I mean, I've had birds follow me my whole life. I've had pet owls, great horned owls. I've had one that literally followed me when I went fishing. I'd drive 20 miles away. He would follow. He'd be following the truck. Loved me. 'Cause I'd feed him fish and but so to watch these types of things, just like right after I wrote you right after, I was like, dude, there's a hawk and we just caught this hawk. So she had stunned herself and I was able to pick her up and then kind of just, nurse her back to get her noggin. But it's really remarkable how she was not offended. She was
Hmm.
not, I mean, she was cautious, but when I threw her up, it's incredible to
Looks
me.
trained.
Yeah, she looks
Looks
trained.
trained.
Well, what was so amazing is that she kept her wings bundled,
Hmm.
right? So when I tossed her up, she kept her wings bundled
Yeah.
and she didn't bring them out and she didn't push them down and flap until she had perfectly reached the top of the energy that I threw her.
Wow. Smart.
She knew exactly how much lift she had by the
Kind of like Noah. Noah sent out a
no.
raven.
Yeah, these knowing things. So I love
Yeah.
these birds just to
So
watch that in
cool.
slow motion. That she goes up and she doesn't push down until she
Mm.
reached that pinnacle of energy where she would have started to fall. So she will never fall. And I just thought that was the most
So
remarkable thing.
cool.
So when we get together, I think it's. I personally just believe that everything is divinely ordered in
I
our.
do. Well, yeah, I do too. Hey, you want to hear? Okay, speaking of divinely ordered. So last time we were locked down, it was 3 months here in New York. I mean, I think a lot of people were like, when they first locked everybody down, it was 3 months. I think that's where it was pretty much everywhere. Am I correct? I don't know. In New York, it was
Yeah.
3 months. Like everything was shut down. It was no phases. It was 3 months. And this is why this is just because we were speaking about the heart, right?
Mhm.
And you know, in the scripture, it says that a lot of people are asking for a sign. What's the sign? What's the sign? And there's no sign that's given but that of the prophet Jonas. And scripture, Jonah's
In the belly of the
story,
well.
yeah, and he prays from the belly of well, call the belly of the great fish, calling it hell. I pray from the belly of hell. And it's suffering. On the third day, he's released. But here's the interesting thing. He said, because now he's not talking about Jonah anymore. Now he's talking about the day that Christ comes, erchomai, revealed, manifested again. Erchomai mean like if I had a blanket over me and I'm hidden, it's something. Christ is always there, but you didn't know it. You take the blanket away, I've come. It's pretty awesome. In that day, as Jonas was in the belly of the great fish for 3 days, so too will man, the Son of Man. Now, mankind, we're all children of mankind.
Mhm.
So too will the Son of Man be in the what? The heart of the earth.
Mhm.
Now, tell me, everyone, what was that stay-at-home order? Where's the heart? Where's your heart? Where's the home? Where the heart is. We were buried inside the heart of the earth, our homes, for 3 months. That's a sign. You know what else is a sign? When I was like, the rainbow's coming, because the rainbow comes first. It's like, remember, the first rider comes with the rainbow, and everybody was seeing rainbows. And I was doing these things and I was trying to give everybody an encouraging lesson because it was like God said, here's the rainbow to Noah. But you forget, the world was a hot mess when he saw that rainbow. When I was seeing the rainbows everywhere, couldn't get away from them. World was a hot mess. Corona was there, and the virus of crown was every, and I don't know if we got to that second, that the days of darkness, all of the terrible stuff that happened in the Twin Cities and then across the world. I'm trying to speak in code for you. But we were in the heart of the earth, and we have come out, and that's a sign that this is the day. I mean, this is the day. That's the reason why everybody's so flipped out about this Star of Bethlehem moment, this conjunction, this great conjunction, which we've been talking about conjunctions for years, about conjunctions and about signs and about everything else. But it's going to be through pressure. People don't get that. I could have chosen, the Lord said, I could have chosen Haagen-Dazs ice cream and Magic Shell. I could have chosen, the movie theaters and your churches, and I could have chosen that. I chose the furnace of affliction because you're all just too stubborn. You're too stubborn. And instead of fighting against the mule of 2020 and blaming it and saying it stinks, maybe you see that God's there with a flaming sword, keeping us from making a bigger mistake. If people have faith over the next couple of years, God's going to provide for them.
Yeah, it's going to require a very different understanding of things, because look, I mean, with what we're facing, we've got the sun here in the earth. We have crustal displacement that's most likely happening. That's why all these earthquakes are happening.
Foundations will beliefs.
Yes.
Beliefs are being shaken up.
Beliefs are being shaken up. So here's the whole point. Everything that you're seeing taking place physically on this earth is also taking place spiritually.
Amen.
Inside people. That's why it's manifesting.
Happening. That's why it's wake up. It's the virus of the crown. We're all given a crown and we're all sick.
Is rising right now.
Yeah. And the day of the Lord stinks
against the crown. You've got to understand that this all happens at one time.
Yeah.
But understand and know this. This is why he said, let your hearts not be
troubled.
All these things must come to pass. This is where we're at. Christ is rising.
But the end is not yet.
Not yet. Yes. Gorgeous Awesome just came into that. Gorgeous Awesome, folks, if you haven't gone on, they just came into chat. Gorgeous Awesome makes amazing stuff. They've provided the channel wonderful things on Etsy. Gorgeous Awesome. Phenomenal, Jacob. You should check them out. They've got some amazing copper work. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Copper and crystals, just gorgeous stuff. So I appreciate Gorgeous Awesome. I wanted to make sure, because I was supposed to have you in another video, and I apologize that we haven't yet. But man, oh man, we are about to experience more from this earth, folks. So this earth, the foundations under your feet will be shaken. Mountains will be laid low. Things are going to happen. As far as like having it, we might not be able to be doing this 6 months from now. We don't know, right? Suspicious Observer said today, he said, get used to not having electricity. And he's not a joke. I mean, he really knows his stuff. So I would take.
Well, hang on. Can I say something? Can I say something to encourage people?
Yes.
Because this is another thing. Let me pull it up so I can see you. Yeah, I want to encourage people. So when the plague of darkness hit, a lot of people didn't have light, but Israel did.
Now, why did he?
You got the Lord. Well, you got the Lord. It doesn't matter if your lights are shining or not, because the light's always so darn bright. You don't need it.
See, I have to bring Jacob on my channel from time to time just to cheer everybody up.
Well, no, because you know what it is that it's like, it's already won. We are in the valley of the shadow of death. So we're just in the shadow, but surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. No matter what I'm in, no matter what I'm going through, goodness and mercy is going to follow me. It's only going to be a short work. It's a short work. It's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Just settle down and don't be thinking that by taking arms that you're doing the Lord's work.
You won't be helping anything. And this is why I always say, do not pick a side. Don't pick a side, because none of these things on this earth will redeem you. That's what they want you to do.
That's what they want you to do.
They really want you to do that. Yeah, that can't be happening. So
how do you serve God? By loving others. Who? Enemies.
Yeah.
Love your enemy. Do good to those that despitefully use you. I do that. I do nice things for people. I had an issue. I had an issue at work. and I gave him $20. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what to do, Lord. How about you give him a card and you give him $20 and you buy him lunch? Boom. That was it. I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to call anybody out on anything. Because
Yeah.
you know what? When you walk around and you got what you got, God is but he always offers you, a door. He always offers you, you're going to be tempted. That's why we pray not to be tempted, even though the Pope changed that, said, oh, the Lord would never tempt you. Yet, anybody remember Jesus being tempted? The Spirit of the Lord moved him to the wilderness to be tempted. But the Pope was like, no, no, no. God doesn't tempt you. Because God makes everything happen. He's just everything works together for the good. You just gotta understand. So, I mean, he doesn't do the tempting, but there's a creation that he created so that we
Well,
can be tempted. But there's always a way out. It's
he
like,
sent Job, right?
yeah, well, there you go. It's like, I mean, that's the story. A lot of people don't know this. They say, oh, it's such a bad thing. But here's an interesting thing too, is that the people have an idea about the different ideas of what God is, whether it's one or the other story. And but it's really it's a revelation. Like when you have the revelation of Christ, you understand that even this right over here can be seen as the same, meaning that what we see as evil and we see as horrible really is just an allegory of something that is good, and God is working it together. Like right now, there's a lot of horrible things. Like people are like, oh, yeah, they're going to shut down the churches. I can't go to church. They're going to take away my, they're coming against Christians. But let me tell you something. I work for Christian TV. I don't see that as a bad thing. I'm not too worried about a lot of people going to a lot of the churches. I'm like, so they shut down. Well, maybe they can pray. Maybe they can go and do what God said. Go in the closet. Don't be like the hypocrite where everybody sees you. You dressed all nice. See, I went and I did the thing, and I bought the basket and I set up the chairs. I gave you the big tithe. I gave you
Yeah,
go privately.
the church is here, right? You're the
Oh,
church. Come
yeah,
on. I mean, this is look, folks, Jacob and I'm certain that we don't agree on everything scripturally,
sure.
but at the
Doesn't
same
matter.
time, it doesn't matter. You know what we agree on? The only thing that matters, Christ in
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Christ is in you. That's it. Nothing else matters. And if somebody denies that Christ can be in you and that you can live just like he says, like him,
Yeah,
well, then they're the Antichrist. So what you're saying is,
right.
hey, they're preventing from go to church. That's probably a good thing because the church
Maybe.
is filled with a bunch of people right now that'll tell you you can't be.
I mean, look, I'm sure that there is some darkness in the land right now.
Right.
But is there chaos in the land? I have not ordained it. Maybe people are just messed up. Maybe they need a wake up call. Maybe they need to see, how bad and how far away from the love of God they've gotten. Okay, let's say how many people pray to statues that can't heal them? How many would, you're not supposed to compare God to anything in the earth, above the earth, beneath the earth, anything. Not a four-legged creature, not man, not corruptible man. God is not a man that he should lie, nor is he the son of man that he should repent. This is in scripture. If we're going by scripture, you got to go by scripture. So when everybody's breaking the statues and tearing the statues down, and everybody's like, oh, this is a terrible thing, I'm going, well, maybe people worship that, that Confederate guy, or maybe they worship this, this Jesus statue, or they worship this, maybe they do. Maybe it's idolatry. Maybe he's doing what he said he was going to do, which is going to rip all the idols from the land. I'm not saying that's the case. Well, I am saying that's the case because it is the case. If you think that God is something that you can tangibly see, literally see, if you're worshiping political leaders and historical documents, and you're worshiping that, and you're saying that is what I put my faith in. I did a video years ago, and I got some flack from one person. Somebody lied. Someone was kind enough. Oh, Marfugel, Adam, he's awesome. He was so
Yeah.
kind, and he put something out that was really nice about me. And he's such a sweet guy, and I love what he does. And he put something out, and someone was like, "Do you know that he ripped up a Bible on TV?" And I didn't. I didn't rip up a Bible. I love the Bible. I love the scriptures. My goodness. But I did do a video called "The Idol," where I had a copy of my novel that was about to be released, and I made the footage look all tweaked out. And as I was talking about the scripture, I was just holding and at one point, I I ripped it up because I was telling everybody that, Jesus said, you search the scriptures, for in them you say you have eternal life, but they're the ones that testify on me, and you don't even believe in me. So they're worthless. Abraham didn't have scriptures. He had this. God wrote the laws in his heart. So this person like put a lie out about me, a terrible lie. And I said, oh my goodness, you silly goose. Watch the video. It's a great lesson. It's like because after I said, did you think that was the Bible? I wouldn't do that. I love the Bible. I said, but if you had a problem with that, and if you thought, oh, he's a terrible person, it's a good call. You've made it an idol. It's a good call. People want to defend, the King James is the way to go, or the Young's literal translation, or the Strong's, and people want to defend things. And they want to, Jesus is not his name, it's Yahshua. Yahshua is not his name, it's Yahuwah. They want to defend things.
I love how people think God needs a defense, right?
It's all idols. It's like no one knows the name of God. No one knows what God looks like. It's impossible to know the things of God. Only the Son that's revealed in the heart of the Son of Man, the Christ in you. Only the Son can reveal the Father to the world, because the Father can't exist here. It's intangible. It's everything. How do
you mentioned the idols, Jacob. The biggest idol that I see, and probably the biggest problem right now that we have, the idol that Americans have is America itself. Patriotism.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think. Listen, I don't think. I love my country, but let me tell you something. What I see going down right now. I've been telling everybody on the show. Look, I had a stupid dream about Trump, right, where I was carrying his casket, and it was moss all over the bottom of it, and I didn't understand the dream. And I look over, and then Trump's dancing, and he's laughing, and I said, "Why are you laughing at this? You're dead. You're dead. Why are you?" And then I realized in the dream, oh my God, they're faking it. They're faking it. So I do a video a month before the election. Well, because at this point I wasn't going to do a video on it, because I know how polarizing just mentioning the name Trump is, and so but then I hear he got corona. So I was like, oh, cool, because that fatal head wound, a lot of people think is like somebody getting shot and rising from the dead, but it has nothing to do with that. And the word wound also translates into plague. So I thought it was interesting that, it was going to be miraculous. But the dream, I asked everybody, so what does the moss mean? And everybody was like, it's a swamp. It was a swamp. So I deduced very quickly that if it wasn't like a literal, because in the thumbnail that I had was Trump looking down at like the Simpsons, where he's in the casket, and I had the words, "Will they fake it?" And the whole thing was about, is he, are they going to fake that he's dying, or are they going to fake that he's like politically dead? That was the whole thing. And then, like, I start to realize with the moss, because I didn't know what the moss represented. Everybody's like, swamp. I said, oh my God, swamp death. It's going to look like he's politically dead, but he's laughing and he's dancing. So I'll do the video about the thing, and I'll tell people about it. And on election day, I said, I'm really worried that it's going to look like Biden's going to win. It's going to get everybody excited, but then it's going to be like he's not going to. And so I've been stressed out about it, but I'm not stressed out anymore, because no matter what happens, God's in charge. I can't read tea leaves, I'm going to be obedient. And I'm just going to.
It's like what we're watching though right now, which is why I kind of laugh at it sometimes. Even though there will be real pain, there will be real suffering.
Oh yeah.
Make no mistake about it, folks.
Make no mistake. Yeah.
We're not telling you that everything's going to be peachy keen and there's not going to be tribulation. There's not going to be trials, because trust me, walking
it's going to get harder.
Street, it's going to get harder. But the difference is, what we're saying is, you need not worry.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in Christ, when you are here, you know what takes place after this. You know where this goes. But realize this is that we are part of probably the worst, the worst reality TV show. It's being orchestrated, right?
Yeah.
Make no mistake about that. And if you don't think that there's an enemy behind all of this, you're wrong. Like, this is why people have a difficult time believing in the gravity and the scale of what we're witnessing. At least from what I've seen, is that
you look at it.
They don't believe in the enemy, Jacob. Right. They don't believe in the devil. They don't believe in Satan.
Okay,
right?
so
that's why they can't believe in Jesus.
So this is interesting too, because that Star of Bethlehem moment everybody's talking about. Well, we had something a
That's
couple of
happening right
years
now,
ago.
actually.
Yeah, yeah. It's and a couple of years ago we had this what we call the Revelation 12 sign, and I had been talking about it all the way up to it because I thought it was just so amazing, and it was right between these eclipses, and I said, "Oh, this is Revelation 12. So what comes next?" Well, then the dragon. Then we start hearing about the dragon, the dragon, the dragon, the SpaceX dragon, the dragon, dragon's talking to the dragon. Everything's about the dragon, dragon everywhere, right? So the dragon's going to now try to devour the child. And this is the time of so, and that's why you see people really losing their minds right now, because right now he knows its time is short. The carnal mind, that ego, that devilish character, is but I have hope. I have hope. I have hope, like Elijah going to Ahab, Jezebel. You know what? Dogs are going to eat you. Let the dogs eat you. Because really, in the grand scheme of things, Jacob in that story, even though there's famine in the land, even though things get terrible, he's all right. He makes it. He's at one point he's old and he has got to tell his kids, "Hey, you got to go to Egypt and get us some food. Where we have no food." And then he finds out that his kid rules, like second ruler of the entire world. So it's like Jacob can't lose. It's meathead that he is. So it's like maybe that could be our story too, because really in the grand scheme of things, Israel is, that's why I took the last name to show everybody of a changed life. There's Jacob and then there's Israel, and we're all coming into that day. This has been so awesome.
Well, I want to make sure, Jacob, before I want to show people your channel. So
Thank you.
So this is Jacob's channel. He has more than twice the amount of subscribers I've got right there, the 150,000.
Sorry,
we're doing all right. I've only been around for 3 years, and so
Yeah,
72,000 is not too bad. I'm very encouraged by that. We're halfway to the 144,000 mark.
I know, and that was big.
Yeah, exactly.
When that happened for me, that was so big.
Yes. So if you haven't, also, if you're looking right now, the Rapture 2.0 Dark Matter Hurricane with Jacob Israel. So these are the two.
Watch that.
Yeah. So look at that.
Crazy to see what we talked, because we said a dark matter hurricane, and literally we were talking about how really dark times were coming. That was the whole point of the show, was
and
right.
And we talked about, I was watching a little bit of it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's incredible. Go and watch that. The Rapture 2.0 Dark Matter Hurricane with Jacob Israel. And we will, I think what we should probably try to do is, I think, Jacob, you get something crazy on your mind and you just want to, we can record that. I can inject that into videos or whatever, but anytime, you're always welcome here on this channel.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm going to figure out how to, now that I can do, like, because my wife has this really nice computer and we got this room, and I'm thinking maybe now I can start. I want to have people on. I'm not tech savvy, but it looks like I have Zoom, so I could probably do the same thing. I can't do the same thing. I'm going to have to get
Noah. No, you could do exactly the same thing right here.
I have to get Noah to help me.
You just go live on YouTube. But Zoom is actually the easiest. That's why we had technical issues on Wirecast, and so we reverted to Zoom today, everybody. But yeah, Zoom works great for just going live. It's quite.
This was a truly enjoyable time with you. I very much appreciated it.
Appreciate you coming on, man. And anytime you want to, and if you can somehow make it out here, this is we got a whole studio here. We've got the blog, the blog studio set up where you have 4 microphones. You sit down with 4 people, call in. You really have some discussions, and I think that's important. And also, that's something else that you can be driving to wherever you're driving and just. And we can do a show through blogging, so it doesn't just have to be on here on YouTube. And in fact, I think probably less and less is going to be seen here on YouTube as even some of the things we've discussed here today become problematic with this platform. So
hey, I think you showed up to lunch, man.
I did. I showed up to lunch. I made the lunch, and so the enemy's intention of destroying our meeting did not happen. So
it was interesting because I was so worried that I was going to, and then I realized it's like, once again, when you're shown things, you don't got to think the worst right off the bat. That's how I knew we were going to get through it. Like at no point did I think, oh, this is just not going to happen. Because I had that dream where I had worried for a week straight that it wasn't going to happen. And then I realized that I was allowing the enemy, because see, God, he doesn't have thoughts of fear for you. God doesn't give you the spirit of fear. That's what the devil does. Okay. So he gives you the power of peace and a sound mind, still small voice, not the loud, stressed out earthquakes and all that stuff. It's when the dust settles. So listen to your heart, everybody, and I love you all. And thank you so much for having me on, man. This was so much fun.
We love you too. And we thank you for having this crew join you and listen to you, Jacob. I'm very, very happy that you joined us. Everybody, please go subscribe to Jacob's channel. Just type Jacob Israel. It'll pop right up. Actually, he's not being shadow banned quite as bad as some people, but
yeah, I got to tell you. Well, I mean, it's funny because the growth of my channel it's been very slow, but then once again I realized, God's in charge of everything, and
supposed to.
And I also realized I talked to a couple other big YouTubers, and I warned them, and I say, look, don't say these things. There's a way to do things. As long as you operate within the guidelines of what you're being, you can inspire and tell people things. Like you were saying, how did you say? You said, well, you're doing it because you're doing it through parable. You're here, I'm here, right? Because we're finding ways to communicate spiritually, which is what really matters in the grand scheme. There may come a time when that's going to be a problem, but in the meantime,
it was no different for Christ. He had to speak in parables to avoid being trapped by the people that were in command of the world. I mean, it's quite simple, folks. We're living in the days of Christ. These are the days. You need to be in Christ.
If they come to me and say, the whole world's going to digital currency, and they say to me, should we do this? I'm going to say, whose image is on it? Whose image is on that? Whose image is on it? Why don't you render onto this beast system, and why don't you render onto God what is God's? Why don't you stop trying to trip me up? You follow the Lord will lead you. And it won't be, I mean, the day's coming when we're going to be led. We're going to be led very much by the hand. We're going to be dragged, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Well, we're dragging some people by the hand right now. Every single time we get on here, we're dragging people by the hand.
I love it. And I love them all. I'm so grateful for them. So grateful for them all.
Well,
so
Jacob,
grateful.
I appreciate you coming by. I really love you. Please give your best to your family, and
I will indeed.
And tell your son we love his shirt.
Thank you. It felt right too. It makes me, because it's just a nice feel. I just think it's just teach me the truth. That's it. Ask that question. That's it. Ask me to ask that question. That's it. It's that simple.
The truth. Well,
all right. Love you, man.
Hang on, but I'll end the stream here. Say goodbye to everybody else. Stick with me so I can say goodbye to you personally off the air. Love you very much, everybody. Thank you, all the moderators in the house. You guys do a phenomenal job. I appreciate you so much. We love you very much. We'll be back again very soon. You'll be hearing from me in the next few days. I've got some of the things that I want to discuss, and also the radio show that is going to be coming up. I'm going to be giving you those links where Malia and myself and other people will be doing the radio show exclusively on radio, not on YouTube. And please go check out Jacob Israel's channel right now. Subscribe, watch some videos. Make sure you always click the thumbs up. We've got a battle with the YouTube algorithms here, so click the thumbs up. Click subscribe. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please click thumbs up on this. Go subscribe.